hurt, and there is no major damage to the building. The U.S. State Department says embassy officials are working with police to identify that dead suspect. A motive is not yet known. Americans are being asked to stay away from the embassy until further notice. To another alert now, police officers lining the streets saluting an officer who made the ultimate sacrifice to save a neighbor in need. Corporal Mushahid Ramzadeen was off duty when he was shot and killed trying to help a woman threatened by her estranged husband.
He was not working, needing help. He immediately responded to that plea for help, but he saved her life by giving his own.
The suspect, Glenn Tyndall, killed in a shootout with police. Ramzadeen is remembered as a Marine Corps veteran, 14-year veteran of the force, and Medal of Valor recipient. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children. His death coming just 12 hours after Alabama officer Justin Billow was shot and killed on the job. At least 15 officers have already died in the line of duty. This year, we're not even through February. Moments ago, survivors of the Florida shooting massacre returning home, those students turning their grief into change, pushing state lawmakers for stricter gun control after 17 of their classmates and teachers were murdered. Brian Yennis is live in Coral Springs, Florida, with a closer look at their journey. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Well, imagine this. You just went through the most horrific incident you'll probably ever go through. You could even ever imagine. And a week later, you're still burying classmates and friends, and you decide to go to Tallahassee for action for the greater good. And now you've come back, a 14-hour trip to Tallahassee and back the Capitol to lobby lawmakers for stricter gun control. 3 buses with nearly 100 students from Stoneman Douglas High School arriving back home after they were at the Capitol lobbying these lawmakers to do something, anything, steps to keep guns from getting into the hands of people that should not have them. Now, this is just one of the buses that came in. We were here when one of the students, or some of the students on this first bus of 3, we're still waiting 2 more, embraced with their parents. They're still in pajamas. Everyone's still dazed. The morning still hasn't really hit in terms of what they have to go through. We were here when Melanie Weber, a 16-year-old junior, she embraced with her father. She just got off the bus. This is what she had to say.
Most of the lawmakers that I met with were Democrats, so they were all pretty supportive of our movement. But the Republicans that I did meet with, they were very open to the idea of possibly making stricter gun laws.
So not only were these students in the capital of Tallahassee yesterday lobbying these lawmakers and speaking to the governor, Rick Scott, but there were also thousands outside of the Capitol in Tallahassee also lobbying gun reform activists that were out there as well. The governor here, Rick Scott, tweeted last night that he says that he's going to release his plan on Friday morning, that is tomorrow morning, as to how he believes the state should go after guns, seeing that those who are mentally ill should not be able to get them. But right now, the bus is now arriving this morning as these students who have just had a whirlwind of a week return home, many of them really beginning to grieve for the first time as they continue their whirlwind week of not only mourning, but continue to take action. Todd.
It's unreal how all their lives have changed in just the last 7 days. Brian, thank you very much. President Trump gathering with students and families at the White House for an emotional listening session on the rise of gun violence in our nation. Several students sharing heartbreaking stories about the school shooting in Florida.
Nothing ever that horrible should ever have to happen to you.
I was lucky enough to come home from school, maybe compromise on some solutions, so this never has to, no child, no person in this world will ever have to go something through so horrific.
The father of Meadow Pollock, who was killed at Douglas High, speaking out in an emotional plea for change.
Should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed, because my daughter I'm not going to see again. She's not here.
President Trump reassuring the group that he is looking to make changes.
We're going to be very strong on background checks. We're going to be doing very strong background checks. Very strong emphasis on the mental health of somebody. It's not going to be talk like it has been in the past. We're going to get it done.
In other news, the Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, kicking off celebrating President Trump's agenda. Tonight, Vice President Pence and other big names will take the stage before President Trump steps up to the microphone tomorrow. Griff Jenkins live for us outside the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center in National Harbor, Maryland, with a preview. Good morning, Griff.
Hey, Todd, good morning. It is the Conservative Political Action Conference, and it began in 1974. It's hands down the largest gathering of conservatives anywhere in the country. And President Trump was the first sitting president to come here since Ronald Reagan. He will be back this year. There's a lot of energy here. And here is the president of CPAC, Matt Schlapp, talking about the significance of President Trump's visit. Take a listen.
To have the president back and the vice president back 2 years in a row, this is history. Donald Trump ran as a conservative, but some conservatives were dubious about how he would govern. Clearly, the president's agenda is conservative, and he's gotten more accomplishments than conservatives have seen in a decade.
And what's fascinating about that soundbite, Todd, is that it was just a few years ago that CPAC didn't want Donald Trump. They didn't believe he was a conservative. But now, after achieving tax cut, a central tenet to the conservative movement, and, of course, so many other ideas, President Trump has really won this crowd over. And Vice President Pence, a traditional conservative, will speak here. He's kicking things off in just a few hours. And here's a list of speakers that you've also got. You've got Marine Le Pen, the niece of Marine Le Pen and the granddaughter of Marie Le Pen. She's drawing some controversy because many view her as a liberal, not a true conservative. Her message apparently will be to bring conservatism to both sides of the Atlantic. You've got Don McGahn, the president's personal attorney, as well as Ted Cruz and Betsy DeVos. And DeVos, of course, the educational secretary. This conference attracts young people. Here is Matt Schlapp again on the young people that will hear these speakers.
You can sense it with all the kids who are there. You know, CPAC, 50% of the crowd is college-aged or younger. We're attracting new people and new voices to the movement. For one main reason is they felt real buyer's remorse with Barack Obama. Even people who voted for him felt real buyer's remorse. Now they're looking at the Democrats, and the Democrats are just about #resistance.
And we've heard young people across the country talking about the gun control debate. Well, that will be front and center here when it kicks off in just a few hours, Todd.
Griff's got a busy day ahead of him. Griff Jenkins live for us in Maryland. Thanks, Griff. An outpouring of love as the world mourns the loss of evangelist pastor Billy Graham.
Jesus said there are two roads. There's the broad road that leads to destruction and judgment, and there's the other road that leads to heaven. If you remember nothing that I say tonight, except one thing I want you to remember: God loves you.
Such a simple and powerful message. The 99-year-old Christian icon and counselor to presidents passing away in his sleep. The public can pay respects at the Billy Graham Library in North Carolina on Monday and Tuesday. A private funeral is scheduled for next Friday. Graham remembered by supporters for his faith and impact on the world.
He was sort of unconsciously humorous, but he had a remarkable sense of humor. And here's one other thing, too. He took God very seriously, but he never, ever took himself too seriously. And I think that gave him a humanness that was very, very relatable to all of us.
Billy Graham touched the world. His ministry reached to all corners of the earth. His legacy, though, really is not so much in looking back, but it's looking forward, not only for him in eternity, but the fact that he has poured his life into so many people.
I think most of the people who ever heard his message today can say we offer profound condolences to his family, but profound gratitude to God that this man showed up on planet Earth to point the way to millions of people to the knowledge of Christ.
President Trump remembering Graham on Twitter, writing, "There was nobody like him. He will be missed by Christians and all religions, a very special man." Vice President Mike Pence saying Billy Graham's ministry for the gospel of Jesus Christ and his matchless voice changed the lives of millions. He will be missed. Time now, 11 minutes after the hour. A shocking plot just revealed. ISIS trying to take down a passenger plane. How hackers help thwart that attack. And a brand new breakthrough giving hope to millions of Americans. Dr. Mark Siegel taking a closer look at a new study that could be the answer to peanut allergies. And She's back. Apparently, we don't need a border wall if we just mow the lawn.
We're mowing the grass so that people can't be smuggled through the grass. And that's something about levees, technology, personnel.
Solid music choice, Kim Kern. Everything she does truly is magic. Nancy Pelosi's brand new comment that's turning heads this morning when Fox and Friends First on a Thursday morning continues. From bump stocks to background checks, President Trump calling for action following the Florida high school massacre.
We're going to be very strong on background checks. We're going to be doing very strong background checks. Very strong emphasis on the mental health of somebody. It's not going to be talk like it has been in the past. It's been going on too long, too many instances, and we're going to get it done.
We are also learning the president is now considering raising the minimum age to purchase semi-automatic weapons from 18 to 21. But is it a good idea? Here now to debate it, attorney with U.S. Shield Law, Emily Taylor, and the director of Guns Down, Igor Volsky. Thanks so much for getting up so early with us. Igor, I begin with you. Why do you like the idea of raising the age limit?
Well, I like the idea of moving towards fewer guns, period. The problem is the more guns we have, the more gun crimes we have. That's just the fact when you look at states that have loose gun regulations, they have more gun crimes. So if we really want to solve this problem, we got to move to a place with fewer guns. We got to talk about bold solutions like federal licensing, like training, and ultimately not only raising the age, but also banning assault weapons altogether.
Emily, I'm assuming you disagree with every single point he just made.
Yes, and I'll start with this notion that the states that have loose or permissive gun laws have more crime. I think that the only thing that we need to do is look to Baltimore, look to Chicago, and see these microcosms of what the country would look like as a whole if we had those sorts of ultra-restrictive gun laws. So that's one issue right there. Another issue I have is that an AR-15 is not some inherently dangerous or evil weapon. It is a tool like any other firearm is a tool, and increasing the age so that people between the ages of 18 and 20 can no longer purchase a long gun is it's swatting a fly with a sledgehammer. It really is curtailing the rights of millions of people in this country in order to solve, I think, no more than one issue we've had with the actions of one deranged individual.
Emily, I want to have you respond to this argument. The federal age for buying a handgun is 21. Why shouldn't we raise the age for these other guns to 21 to match the age of a handgun?
Well, because the most crime in this country in terms of gun crime and homicides is committed with handguns. And I think that it's worth digging into the numbers here. So the undisputed number is there are about 30,000 deaths by gun in the United States every year, which is no insignificant number. There's no good number of gun deaths in this country, but about 2/3 of those are suicides. So take those out, we're looking at somewhere around 10,000. Take out those homicides that are committed by police officers. Take out, the other issues we have with negligent or reckless gun deaths. You're looking at about 9,000 homicides by firearm every year. Okay. There are less than 1,000 of those committed with long guns. The vast majority are committed in handguns, and quite frankly, the vast majority are committed in Baltimore, Chicago, D.C., these places with very tight gun control laws.
Igor, I want to get Igor's response before we run out of time.
Emily's really making my case for what I'm saying, and that is we need fewer guns. We need fewer handguns. Yes, a lot of crimes are committed with handguns. We need fewer long guns. And this idea of look at Chicago, the point is all of these guns are coming in from states with looser gun laws. It's why we need federal changes. It's why we need federal reforms for the entire country, not just for a state, because guns are coming in from other places. That's why we need something like a federal license. If you need a license to drive a car, you should have a license to operate a gun. Right. Mandatory training for guns. Those are real changes.
Emily and Igor, I got to leave it there. Obviously, this is the debate that is captivating the nation right now. It's not going to end today. It's going to continue on for years. Emily and Igor, thank you. Time now, 19 minutes after the hour, MS-13 has viciously killed countless people and committed heinous crimes. But if you ask the liberal media, only Fox News viewers know who MS-13 is.
in which he makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So he makes it sound like they're the biggest threat.
The shocking new numbers breaking down just how deadly this gang is getting. Time now, 23 minutes after the hour. Remember when MSNBC host Joy Reid said this about MS-13 after the President's State of the Union?
In which he makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So he makes it sound like they're the biggest threat.
Well, turns out they actually exist and pose a major danger to our country. According to a new report from the Center for Immigration Studies, 207 murders have been tied to the brutal gang in 22 states since 2012, with over 500 open cases of members being charged in major crimes. Those members include 300,000 illegals. That number exploding under President Obama. ICE pulling out of a college career fair amid mounting pressure, the agency saying it voluntarily withdrew from the event at Rutgers University in New Jersey. A group of illegal immigrants known as the RU Dreamers, Rutgers University Dreamers, started an online petition calling for the school to withdraw its invitation for ICE to participate, saying the agency alienates undocumented students. Only 139 people signed that petition. All right, a brand new breakthrough giving hope to millions of Americans with peanut allergies. Doctors optimistic about the new study, but it comes with a big warning. Fox News medical aid team, Dr. Mark Siegel, here to explain. And Dr. Siegel, this could be a game changer, but you've heard that old adage, don't try this at home? Don't try this at home.
Absolutely, Todd. You're not going to try this over the counter. You're not going to try it at home because we had about a 67% success rate with this, meaning that kids with severe allergies from the ages of 4 to 17 were actually given tiny bits of peanuts over a 6-month period of time. And 67% of them, by the end of the 6 months, were able to tolerate the equivalent of 2 peanuts a day. But 20% they had to take out of the study. So if you put those things together, a physician has to be involved who knows what they're doing. And ultimately, it's a very, very good idea and good thing.
Let's put up a full screen right now so you can see some of the stats. Between 1997 and 2010, the number of children with a peanut allergy more than tripled in the U.S. We're not going to go into the reasons. Some people say it's pesticides. Some people say it's just, we baby our kids. But the fact of the matter is, if you do start a child off between, I guess, at the 6-month mark with introducing little bits of peanut allergies, some people say that's a good way of building up an immunity so that the individual, when they get older, does not get a peanut allergy. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And that's the background for this study, because several studies over the past couple of years, one out of Texas, did exactly that. Took healthy kids with no peanut allergy at a very young age, at the age of it being an infant, gave them tiny bits of peanuts. And you know what? The risk of developing a peanut allergy, much, much less. And tree allergies, much less. We're talking about over 3 million people in the United States that have some kind of tree allergy. It's one of the leading causes of food allergies. And as you just said, food allergies are on the rise. Now, this study looked at people with severe peanut allergies, already had it. And the message here is it's never too late. If you even have a peanut allergy and you're at risk for going to the hospital for anaphylaxis for a severe peanut problem, if we slowly give you an amount of it, and my 12-year-old who has food allergies calls it a peanut vaccine. In other words, give tiny bits of peanut protein over time, we're going to decrease the risk that you're going to end up in that emergency room. And you know what it's really going to be useful for, Todd? Something called cross-reactivity, meaning you're at a dinner, you don't ask for peanuts, it's accidentally in your food, but even though it's in your food, you don't have that reaction. That's the target audience we're trying to hit.
And if you're on a plane and somebody opens up a bag of peanuts, they tell you now, hey, we have one person sitting in the back row. Please, nobody open any peanuts on this plane. This could help solve that problem.
That's huge, and you can't always verify what you're getting in food. The waiter says, oh, yeah, no peanut in there. But the next thing you know, your face is swelling up. This will decrease that dramatically. There's a big future in this over the next year or two.
Great stuff, Dr. Siegel. Thank you very much for being in here. Time now is 27 minutes after the hour. Sanctuary City Showdown, the acting ICE director calling out liberal lawmakers trying to ban his agents from courts and jails.
I'm not running a popularity contest. I wouldn't be in this job. I mean, we're enforcing the laws enacted by Congress.
The brand new progress being made on President Trump's border wall. and remembering the man widely regarded as the most influential preacher of the 20th century. Carly Shimk is here with the tributes pouring in for Reverend Billy Graham. The acting director of ICE slamming California Democrats, claiming they won't let his officers do their jobs. This as lawmakers work to ban agents from county courts and jails. Robert Gray live for us in L.A. with more of what the director has to say. Robert, good morning.
Hey, Todd, good morning. That's right. Lots of controversy in the Golden State over that recent wave of raids here targeting undocumented immigrants. Now, the actions follow California's so-called sanctuary law that limits cooperation between local law enforcement and immigration authorities. The acting director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, says the measures are counterproductive and keep his agents from doing their job.
So what have they done to immigrant communities? They put them at further risk of criminal activity because criminals going back to those communities. 2, they put them at greater risk of ICE arrest because when I'm out there arresting the bad guy, I may find others. And thirdly, they're enticing further illegal entry.
Now, for their part, California Senators Dianne Feinstein and Kamala Harris issued a statement calling on ICE to detail how the raids are prioritized and to focus on dangerous criminals and not punishing California and misusing what they called scarce resources. Now, Homan contends the state's laws actually make his agency use more resources.
If these senators are really concerned about my scarce resources, then they would let me back into the jail. One officer used to be able to sit in a county jail and process 10 criminal aliens a shift. Now when those county jails release those 10 people to the street, I got to send the whole team out to find these people. That's a danger to my officers.
And meanwhile, the federal government has begun work replacing a section of border wall in downtown Calexico. The petition is a little more than 2 miles long and will replace the current 1990s barrier with 30-foot-high bollard-style posts that are much taller than the current wall. Todd, back to you.
Robert, thank you very much. A sinister ISIS plot to blow up a plane thwarted by a group of elite hackers. According to the Prime Minister of Israel, members of the Israeli Defense Forces helped stop a bombing on board a flight from Australia to Dubai. They tipped off Australian authorities over the summer. 4 men were arrested. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley calling for an end to the devastating bombing in eastern Syria. Haley urging the Security Council to support a new resolution which could bring a 30-day ceasefire. That would allow humanitarian aid to get to the worst-hit areas. All right, it's no secret Nancy Pelosi isn't the biggest fan of President Trump's border wall, but now the House Minority Leader is telling the Arizona Republic she's come up with a better solution to keep our borders safe.
Let's talk about where a more serious structure might be necessary, where fencing will do, or mowing the grass so that people can't be smuggled through the grass.
She really said that. Pelosi, wow, also saying the president's campaign promise to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it is, quote, never going to happen. These guys, watch this. They're going to need a bigger boat, Jaws. A 2-man fishing crew bringing in a massive catch when they hook a 3,000-pound great white shark. ESPN's outspoken anti-Trump anchor Jemele Hill doubling down on her infamous tweet where she called the president a white supremacist. Carly Shimk with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115, here with the backlash that quickly followed. Carly, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Now, back in September, Jemele Hill faced widespread backlash for tweeting this after the Charlottesville riots. Donald Trump is a white supremacist who has largely surrounded himself with other white supremacists. Well, when asked about that controversial comment on The View yesterday, Jemele Hill did not back down. Take a listen.
I still stand by what I said. I don't think that his supporters are white supremacists. What I would say, though, is that they have the privilege, the benefit of privilege, to be able to distance and disassociate themselves from certain issues.
Well, if you disagreed with her back then, you're probably going to disagree with her today, which is why some on social media are sounding off. Billy tweets she backed herself into a box that she may not be able to get out of. She could have recanted her opinion, apologized, and hoped for the best. And Carla on social media also tweets, just because she stands by what she said does not make it so. Now, as for Jemele Hill's career, she now writes for an ESPN website. The network says that career change was her decision.
All right. Purdue University telling students don't use words with man in them.
That's
Carly,
right.
I give up. I got nothing.
Man is out. out. You got to be gender neutral these days. According to campusreform.com, Purdue University is encouraging people to avoid, like you said, phrases with the word man in them. Things like mankind should be changed to humanity. People, human beings, man's achievements, now human achievements, and they want people to use the words synthetic, manufactured, and machine-made instead of man-made. So some on social media think this is a little silly. Gregory tweets, or Jeffrey rather, says, sounds like a hypocritical mandate.
Yeah, nice
and
job,
another
Jeffrey.
Twitter user, I like this one even better, how are they going to manage this? So a lot of laughs about this whole thing.
That one was sneaky. Years of English language convention being thrown out by Purdue University. An old school man, an old school message, and an amazing life. Billy Graham.
Yeah, that's right. A flood of tweets, Todd, as you know, honoring his life and legacy from presidents, both past and present, celebrities, even loved ones like his son, Franklin Graham, who honored him, tweeting, "My father, Billy Graham, was once asked, 'Where is heaven?' He said, 'Heaven is where Jesus is, and I'm going to him soon.' This morning, he departed this world into eternal life and heaven, and prepared by Lord Jesus Christ, the Savior, whom he proclaimed for 80 years. Now, Mitt Romney reacted on Twitter, writing, "Billy Graham lifted eyes toward heaven and instilled heaven's values in hearts. The world mourns this man of character, this man of God." And Senator John McCain chimed in on Twitter saying, "Saddened by the passing of Reverend Billy Graham, a great American and faithful Christian who inspired millions of people with the gospel message. Rest in peace." Inspiration, such a good word to use for him. He inspired people in his life. And then Todd, yesterday, as we reflected on all he did, inspired people in death as well.
It's amazing how many lives Billy Graham changed.
Isn't it
Carly
incredible?
Shimkus, beautiful tribute. Thank you very
Thanks a
much.
lot.
Time now, 38 minutes after the hour. Florida sheriff's deputies who responded to the school shooting taking matters into their own hands.
We need to be able to defeat any threat that comes onto campus.
How they plan to keep students safe while armed to the teeth. It has been the rally cry for Black Lives Matters from day one. How one professor is protesting to honor that movement. 42 minutes after the hour now, a University of Vermont staffer goes on a hunger strike in support of Black Lives Matter. You know, the same group responsible for stuff like this. John Mejia calling for a Black Lives Matter flag to be permanently flown, along with funding for anti-racism events on campus, and examining white identity course for faculty and staff, and a BLM flag to be flown at police headquarters. He says he won't eat until all of his demands are met. A pizza chain serving up justice, firing 2 employees after they refused to serve a police officer. Navy veteran and 20-year officer Sergeant Ronnie Phillips was in uniform when he says 2 women refused to take his order at a Little Caesars in Alabama. Phillips shared the incident on his Facebook, saying he would never go back. Well, once word got back to the company, they canned the 2 workers and gave free pizza to his department. Let's not forget, about a half an hour ago, we just did a story about another officer killed in the line of duty, up to 15 this year. Let's remember that. Meantime, Walmart going to war with Amazon. Tracy Carrasco from our sister network, Fox Business, here with changes the retail giant is making. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Yes, so Walmart is revamping the home section of its website, giving users a little more of a chance to get some design tips, some editorial information, making it more of just an add to your cart experience. So they're rolling out this new revamped website within the next few weeks. Of course, they're still going to be focusing on price to compete with other places like IKEA and Wayfair. So this, of course, as they try and keep up with Amazon, of course, their results, their earnings came out. They had some disappointing online sales. So this is just another effort there.
Good stuff. All right. You know, when I fill in on these shows, I like to give shout outs to our producers because then they have me coming back.
Yes.
Our executive producer, Desiree Dunn, walked into the meeting and said, All of the stories are out. Tomorrow is National Margarita Day, and that means today is National Margarita Day.
Reason enough
Des.
to celebrate. So because it is National Margarita Day, a lot of restaurants offering some deals out there for some margaritas. At Hooters, you can get a margarita for $7.99 or $95 with a souvenir glass. Buffalo Wild Wings margaritas for $5. Also $4 street tacos, $3 chips and salsas, and $2 margaritas all day long at On the Border. So salt, no salt, frozen, whatever you want. Available today.
We're going after the show, I hear.
Okay. 5
that
a.m. Let's do it.
Good stuff, Tracy. Thank you very much. Time now is 45 minutes after the hour. You've heard what Nancy Pelosi thinks of President Trump's tax cuts.
The crumbs that they are giving, bowl of doggy doo. Some patriots, this tax scam.
Her own party now pushing